In the plot twist of the century, a creator that goes by the name of HansumFella,
I was unfaithful to my girlfriend at the time,
isn't exactly the greatest boyfriend in the world.
Please take the video down. It's gonna ruin me. I'm begging you, please take it down, because this is gonna get huge and it's gonna be irrecoverable. Please, I'm begging you.
So let's talk about it. But before all that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. No promises or threats this time. I just wanted to genuinely tell you all how much I appreciate the support that you have been giving me recently. We just hit 160,000 subs, so I'm hoping we can get to 200k by the end of the first quarter. It really has been a great start of the year for the channel so far, so genuinely, I really appreciate that from you. And if you're not subscribed to the Dankyjabo channel yet, then hop along and become a Dankyjiblet. Don't worry, that will not become a thing. Anyway, this whole situation came to light when TikToker Haley Sharp, better known as Yodelling Haley, put out a video detailing the devastating breakup between her and HansumFella. The world stopped for a day when they broke up, truly. It was a heartbreaking moment.
So just to recap, David Lynch dies, I dye my hair pink at the age of 22, TikTok gets banned, 20 minutes later I'm being broken up with during the commercial break of the drag race we were watching. And then 12 hours later, TikTok comes back, and then he leaves. Do you guys have any idea? Like, do you guys ever think about how I'm the strongest woman in the world?
So this video is 1 minute and 20 seconds long, and the rest of it is just her talking about how she's the strongest woman in the world. It's a funny bit, I'll give her that, but the important bit here is the I got broken up with, because that part caused a lot of stir. I'm not exactly too sure how public it was that her and HansumFella were dating at this point. Well, not anymore at this point, I guess, but either which way, people seem to have drawn the conclusion that she is in fact talking about HansumFella, as they detailed in the comments. HansumFella is a creep and a cheater, so you'll be okay, Queen. Now, this is in reference not just to this controversy about how he cheated on Haley Sharp, but in fact, there was a controversy about a year ago of him cheating on another creator, well, another individual, but we'll talk about that later on. I think it's important we get this one out the way first, and then talk about his past cheating scandals to show that this is in fact a pattern of behavior. I have a lot of opinions on this whole controversy, by the way. I think a lot of stuff has been blown way out of proportion, and I do think that some stuff isn't given as much attention as it deserves as well. So before I delve into all that, I'm just going to show you exactly what has happened, and my opinion will start to creep in as the events go by, if that makes sense. It's just occurred to me that a lot of you might not know who HansumFella is. I certainly didn't before I made this video, so here's his channel. He's a pretty big creator. I think he's more famous for streaming than making YouTube videos, but the YouTube channel looks like a pretty standard YouTuber. Nothing too offensive about these videos on the surface. You watch the videos, it's just a fairly charismatic bloke talking his shit and being a YouTuber, like every other person on this platform. But then obviously his gimmick, I guess, is that he's a handsome fella.
as seen on TV products. You probably remember it.
A handsome fella with a nice deep voice, I guess. Now we'll just cut to the chase here, because all we know so far is that she got broken up with by him, but we haven't actually heard any of the cheating stories yet. Here's the first video that was put out where Haley directly addresses her being cheated on.
Well, you guys, the strongest woman in the world, me, is actually way stronger than any of us could have imagined, because I just found out that, you know, my boyfriend who broke up with me, like, last week, was also cheating on me, messaging a 19-year-old girl, he's 25, while I was staying at his house for his birthday. So, if there's anything we can learn from this, never date an influencer. That's the lesson that we've learned. And I'll say it again. Do you guys know how strong I am? Look at me right now. Do you see that?
I don't know exactly what to tell you. It's a pretty standard I got cheated with video, just exposing it to the world. It's very clear that she's talking about HansumFella here, as evidenced by HansumFella literally responding to these allegations directly. Now, whether or not you guys think that it is appropriate for someone to go as public as Haley has about the cheating is up to you, I guess. I personally don't exactly hold it against her for doing so. She was the one who got cheated on. It is completely within her right to do something like this, but it's not something that I personally could ever see myself doing. The amount that went public, though, is something to be discussed later on in this video, because there is some genuinely important talking points here. Just a heads up, by the way, that whatever I say in this video, all in all, HansumFella is absolutely in the wrong here, way more than Haley is, but they both handled it in ways that could have been better, in my opinion. This lassie Marissa was the girl that HansumFella was cheating on Haley with, and there was a TikTok on, I think, her account with HansumFella in it. I'll call HansumFella Tyler from now on, because that is his online persona. I don't want to keep saying his full YouTube name every time. Also, because if someone walks into the room whilst you're watching this video out of context, they'll just think that I fucking love this bloke and just want to suck his dick all day and shit. When I don't, I actually think it's quite a cringe YouTube name. I mean, I know that's ironic coming from fucking Dankyjabo over here, but we'll go with Tyler. Fuck it, why not? Anyway, according to Marissa, she didn't know that Tyler was cheating on somebody else with her. So when the whole thing came out, she posted this TikTok in reference to the one that got deleted that I just spoke about. And the caption was, mind you, he was embarrassed to be with me, and then they straight up just hashtag him, so that's confirmation if you ever needed it. And the mental thing is, since this whole thing went down as well, every girl that Tyler was allegedly messaging whilst being in a relationship with Haley has basically come out and gone, yeah, he was messaging me as well. So it seems as though this bloke doesn't actually flirt with anyone until he's in a relationship, and then he just goes fucking mental.
He cheated and I know it. I named the baby Heaven, cause that's where it's going.
Here's them talking directly to Haley. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I just saw your comment. Yeah, on and off since like last April. I'm really sorry, I should have done my due diligence, but my friends and I treated him like a bitch. Who knows if that's true? I don't even know if Tyler was messaging this woman. There is no proof or evidence of any of this. The people in this comment thread don't seem to believe her though. Apparently she has a boyfriend as well, so it's a little weird that she was entertaining this whole thing, unless that's something that they've sorted out between themselves and this is like an open relationship or whatever. Who fucking knows? I don't really care. I don't even know why I'm talking about it for this long. Let's go back to the topic at hand. And in what is easily the biggest development so far and most shocking thing that has happened so far, HansumFella did a live stream responding to these allegations, which in my opinion is always a very silly move. When you get called out for something or allegations come up against you, do not live stream your response to it, because in my opinion, I guess if you're a really confident live streamer and you know exactly how to talk the way that you feel, then go ahead. But for me, in my opinion, when you do a live stream, you say a lot of things you don't really mean, a lot of half-baked thoughts come out your head that you haven't thought through too much. Like if I were to go live, I think that I would say a lot of things that maybe I don't really believe in, that like an hour later I would look back on and think, why the fuck did I say that in front of my audience? That's, kind of regret that. That being said, when you do live stream, I think people give you the benefit of the doubt a little more, so you can get away with a bit more, because I feel like it is universally understood that you don't have a script and you're not graced by the editing and post-production, so people cut you a bit more slack. But when it's a response to a controversy, that slack will not be given to you, because people are paying attention to every word that you say, and they want to hear what they want to hear, whether that be some sort of semblance of taking accountability or an apology or, you know, an accusation back, or maybe a rebuttal. And I just think when you live stream your response, oh god, you're not going to make anyone happy.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Sorry for the emote only chat, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So also sorry for the late stream. I'm gonna take these earbuds out of my ear because I don't need them. Yeah, sorry for the late stream. It's gonna be a quick one though. It's gonna be a real quick one. I just realized I fucking forgot to disable. Hopefully people don't have pre-rolls right now. And thank you for the subs if you have subscribed. So, let's jump into it, ladies and gents. I just feel like I owe you guys, my audience, some sort of explanation, you know, and this is going to be pretty difficult for me to navigate, especially in like a live setting.
So why did you do the live setting? I'm sorry, right? But we're 1 minute into this video that's not even 10 minutes long, right? We're over 10% into this video and he's not addressed anything. So in my opinion, it's very clear. In fact, it's very obvious to me. I am fucking certain that he's nervous as shit here. And who wouldn't be? Because in his mind, his career is on the line and his livelihood hinges on what he's about to say in the next 5 minutes or so. And he doesn't even have a script prepared. Now, maybe this could be seen as a good thing because it is possible that we are going to get the most authentic version of an influencer that we possibly can in this live setting when they are genuinely fearful as well. Like, they can't just manufacture an artificially produced sanitized opinion to just appease the masses. They're just shooting the shit from their heads, and maybe that's a good thing, a real thing for some people. In my opinion, and I'm not talking morally here, I'm talking strictly business as a creator sort of mindset. I think if you just ignored everything and didn't respond at all, you would have been totally fine. Like, yeah, people were able to tell that Haley Sharp was in fact talking about you, but she never actually says your name, and you're a big creator. Like, you would have been fine. There would have been rumbles on the internet, there would have been a lot of tweets, maybe a couple videos, a couple TikToks TikToks talking about how shit you are and how much of a cheater you are, but it's the fucking internet, man. It'll all be gone in about a month. Like, obviously, yeah, you shouldn't have cheated on her. You're a fucking horrible boyfriend and you need to wait a long time before you're ready for a relationship. But in terms of a business move, this was never gonna end well for you. And it definitely did not, by the way, because my god, the shit that we haven't spoken about yet, oh man, it's very embarrassing. I do not envy this guy. I mean, he brought it upon himself. Don't get me wrong, but still, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see what I mean later.
Like, I already struggle to articulate my feelings and put my feelings into words, but I will try my best to effectively communicate. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will here in a second. I'll go through it. So no goofs or jokes this time. First off, I'm not here to, like, dismiss any claims. I'm not trying to explain away a situation. I just want to be transparent, take accountability for what I've done. And in the theme of full transparency, my name is not Tyler. My name is Ian. You might have seen that floating around somewhere, so I just wanted to get out in front of that one. Name is Ian. That is my name. Had a pseudo fake name to, protect myself when I worked a job and privacy and all that.
That's definitely the thing that I feel most bad for him about this whole situation. Like everything else, the cheating, his career potentially being in a bit of a shit place now, everything that comes along with that, it's like, yeah, whether or not you feel bad for him, you have to admit that he at least partially brought it upon himself by doing the actions, making the decisions that he made. But with his real name and some personal information that he definitely did not want to be public, becoming public, you have to have a bit of sympathy there. I'm not sure if it was Haley Sharp that made this information public. I've heard people say that it was her, but I cannot find any videos of that in fact happening. I'm not sure if she maybe deleted them, or maybe it has nothing to do with her at all and it was some other source that revealed that information. Either which way though, I do feel bad for him, and whoever it was, you're a piece of shit for doing. Like, pseudonames on the internet are very common. A lot of creators have that sort of thing, and for very good reason.
Some of you may have seen the video that Haley posted, where she said that I cheated on her during our relationship, and that is true. I'm here to take accountability for that. So that is true. My now ex-girlfriend posted that TikTok detailing it, and yeah, I'm not here to explain that situation away. I was unfaithful to my girlfriend at the time for the past month and a half, and did message people while being in that relationship with her, and that's something I've got to own, and I don't really care about the public reception.
That will very quickly be proven wrong. It is very obvious that he does really care about the public perception. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be doing this live stream. Let's be honest here, pal. If you didn't care about the public perception, you would have just ignored it all, sorted it out in private to the extent that you could, and not addressed it publicly at all. You know what? I'll just spoil it. I don't want to edge you guys for too long. He called Haley Sharp after this response came out for 5 minutes and basically begged her to take her videos down. But don't worry, we will get to that later, I promise.
Please take it down, because this is gonna get huge, and it's gonna be irrecoverable. Please, I'm begging you.
There's a wee clip there to whet your appetite a little bit. I don't know about you, but that does not scream, I don't care about public perception to me. But I guess a bunch of the other unknowns that have just been confirmed in this wee section here are that yes, he was in fact messaging multiple people. It wasn't just cheating on her with one person. And also it's pretty validated and factual by this point that the relationship went on for a maximum of 2 months, like a month and a half sort of thing. So it's not as though this was a long-term relationship where they were together for 3 years and it feels as though at the end of it all, it was just a waste of time. It was a major heartbreak where the last 3 years of your life were just worth nothing. That being said, it does not make the act of cheating insignificant by any means. No matter how far into the relationship, you could be an hour into the relationship. Cheating is still cheating, and it's still bad. A lot of people, as we'll see later on, who have come to the defense of this guy, have mentioned the 2 month, 1 month and a half thing as a defense thing for him, as much as to say, oh, it really isn't that a big deal, get a grip, it was only a month-long relationship. I think that's a load of shit. The second you agree to get in a monogamous relationship with someone, you fucking keep that promise. In terms of immoral things that you can do that aren't technically illegal, cheating cheating is probably up there. And whilst yes, cheating in a 2-month-long relationship is better than a 2-year-long relationship, it doesn't take as much heat off of the cheater as a lot of people have been making out it does, in my opinion. If anything, there's a perspective that some people could take where it's almost more confusing to cheat that early on in a relationship. Because in my opinion, in my mind, I feel like how most cheating goes is you're in a long relationship, maybe 10 years of marriage or something, you get a little bit bored, you want to spice things up, you start to wonder what it's like to be with other people, and then you cheat if you're a piece of shit with no fucking self-control. Or maybe it's like a moral version of cheating, like Skylar did to Walter in Breaking Bad, where, yeah, you are technically cheating, but nobody can really blame you for it, per se. But in a 1.5 month long relationship, it's like, you guys don't even know each other for long enough to have gotten sick of each other and wants to cheat on other people. So to me, this just screams hardcore commitment issues. Do not get into a relationship for the next 5 years at least. You need to fucking work on yourself, lad. If you've only been dating for a month, breaking up should not be the heartbreaking, mentally taxing action that it is in a long-term relationship. You know what I mean? Like, if you're getting those urges to cheat on your partner that early into the relationship, it's so much easier to call it quits than it is like 5 years in. I just don't understand this mentality. There's probably something going on there that is unaddressed and needs therapy. That's not me justifying the behavior, by the way, or giving him an excuse, just to be clear, but I've rambled on for too long. Let's watch the rest of this video.
Not proud in any way, shape, or form. And I have some internal issues that I got to deal with. So, let us continue. Again, my apologies if I'm not effectively communicating myself. But this is the right thing to do. So I'll walk you guys through some of the timeline just to get some context here. Wow, we got a good bit of folks in here. Didn't notice that. Here is some context. So my previous relationship ended in September, and I had my faults in that one too. You know, I drove her away, made a lot of false promises, but basically I drove her to break up with me, because I definitely had faults in that relationship. But I did love her, and I couldn't really accept. This is very weird for me to be talking about on the internet, so I'm sorry. I couldn't accept that was like done, right? So then months after that, met Haley, and unfairly, I got into a relationship I wasn't emotionally available for. And that's a very basic and classic, thing to say. I'm not trying to excuse anything.
I just don't understand why this is being done, because he's so very clearly and understandably uncomfortable talking about the issues that he's having, not only in the relationship he was just in, but also in the one previous to that, which seems to have been a bit of a longer term one. I'm just trying to think now, like, I'm really trying to put myself in the mental headspace of somebody who has cheated on their partner and has just been called out for it by said partner, who also happens to be a massive creator on TikTok. What would I do? I would urge you guys to do this as well, right? A little thought experiment. What would you do? What would the best course of action be? Okay, I think I've got something, but I am genuinely very, very curious what you guys would do. So, if there's anything you decide to comment on this video, it would be a response to that question, right? I'm really curious. I'd love to hear what you guys would do. I'd also like to know if what you would do differs from what you think is the morally best thing to do. Because let's be honest with ourselves, those two things are not always the same, unfortunately. In my humble opinion, you can disagree with me if you want, I do not think that a cheating accusation or an instance of cheating is enough to end a career. Nor should it be enough to end a career, because it is very much a private matter that does not affect the quality of you as a creator, but only really affects the quality of you as a partner, or even a person if you want to take it that far. Which I think it's perfectly fair to take it that far, by the way. Like, if we took the title of YouTuber away from HansumFella, right? Let's pretend like it's an actor or a film director who cheated on their partner, but is continuing to make movies. People would not really have a moral objection to watching those movies starring that actor or directed by that director purely because they cheated on their partner. You might think, oh damn, it's a shame that they cheated, I hope they worked it out, but you know what, at the end of the day, it's none of my business, I'm just gonna watch their content. I think that with YouTubers, in my mind at least, it's largely the same thing. Now that being said, I understand why a lot of people do not see it that way, because YouTube, the whole point is that it's a lot more personable, right? We buy into their personalities a lot more, and a lot of the reason we enjoy the content of a lot of our favorite content creators is because we like the person, as the way they portray themselves. Whereas with a movie director or an actor, the actual quality of their person does not matter in terms of the quality of the art. I think Cody Ko is a great example, by the way. When Cody Ko got done for his whole thing with Tana Mojo, a lot of people retroactively went back on his content and started to say, he was never really that funny anyway. In my opinion, I think that it's a bit of a smokescreen. I think that before that whole thing went down, people found him hilarious. And then when the Tana Mojo thing happened, people didn't like Cody Ko anymore. And I think the reason that people stopped enjoying the content that he was producing before the whole situation went public is because they didn't realize the only reason that they liked his content and found him funny is because they liked Cody Ko as an individual. And now that they don't like Cody Ko, there is no enjoyment to be found in his videos anymore. With HansumFella, even though he didn't do anything nearly as bad as what Cody Ko did, I personally believe that his personality and his brand and the reason that people watch him is more to do with him being liked as a person, right? It's all very ironic. A lot of his brand, a lot of his humor, a lot of the stuff he talks about is sort of built upon him being like an ironic fuckboy. His name is HansumFella, for God's sake. So now whenever he makes those jokes about being a boyfriend or being a cool bloke or just a nice individual fuckboy sort of guy anyway, I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it. All I'm trying to say here exactly is that his brand of humor is going to be a lot less effective and a lot less likable now that the truth has come out about his actual quality as a partner or even just as a man. Me personally, I don't exactly see it that way. I think if you're a fan of HansumFella, that shouldn't really change, right? You can batter in, watch his videos, it don't really matter too much. It's none of our business who was cheating on who and what his interpersonal relationships are, whether it be him or Haley Sharp. I think the most you can hope for as an uninvolved bystander is that they sort it out between themselves, and any more involvement or any more care from someone who is completely not involved in this situation and doesn't know any of them personally, I think would be a little bit parasocial and weird. I can definitely see why people care though. Like, I'm making a whole video on it because of just how much stuff has come out, and again, we've not even covered the phone call yet. But I think I personally would have just done everything in my power to try and sort it out personally with the person that I just cheated on, and if they refuse to give me any closure or speak to me or just don't accept my apology, that's fine because they don't owe me that, right? I cheated on them, they can treat me however the fuck they want, within reason obviously. If I manage to come to some sort of agreement or end it on good terms with them somehow, then maybe I'd put a story up on Instagram or a wee twit longer, a bit of text, not a video or a live stream saying, hey guys, about the allegations recently, it's all true, I sorted it out with them personally, hopefully this doesn't affect how you guys see me or whatever, but content as usual continuing soon. If I don't manage to sort it out with them, I think I would genuinely just ignore it and wait for it to die down because there's nothing much else you can do. Now that's the conclusion that I've come to, sat here for about 30 seconds just thinking what I would do. I have no idea if my opinion will change in like an hour from now, or if I'm thinking straight, or if I sound like a complete bumbling buffoon as of right now. So again, you guys can truly tell me in the comments because I'm really interested to see what you have to say.
And I have a problem with lying in the short term. That is a problem I've recognized about myself. Like lying in the short term to protect myself. So basically like just telling her what I thought she wanted to hear. You know, that I was ready for this, and I feel like deep down I was not fully over the past one. And that's not cool to do. You know, you can't play with someone's emotions like that. And clearly I have a lot of work to do in that department. And I also want to butt it. I'm not trying to provide justification for what I did, and we'll get to that in a second. But I do feel really guilty. But I thought it was a step in the right direction to move forward. And, you know, she's great, and I enjoyed our time together. But I did come to the decision that we should break up, and I should have conveyed that earlier. But before the breakup, and this is where the lack of loyalty and not being faithful comes into play. I got really drunk around my birthday and messaged someone on Instagram. I had a Instagram back and forth, and the drunk aspect is, again, no justification. And like she said in the video, that person was 19, and that makes me feel filthy and disgusting and awful. But, you know, again, I'm not here to explain that away, right? That's where I'm just laying it all out. And I want to make it clear that the alcohol was not the problem. Like, I have an alcohol problem that I've been working through, and I just want to make it clear that that is not the issue. Alcohol was involved, but clearly I, myself, am the problem, and I have a lot of stuff to work through. And yeah, I just got a lot of self-reflection to do. And this is like telling of my character, very telling of my character. So I understand the reception, but ultimately I was inconsiderate and selfish when it came to Haley, and not faithful and bad to her. And yeah, there's, whether it's on the internet or not, I feel deep remorse. But all I can do is just try and be a better person, you know? That's really all I can do. I'm not really sure what the game plan is.
It seems very personal, it seems very honest, but then you start to think about it, it's like, how honest are you really being? It's all well and good saying that you feel deep remorse and you're going to try your best to not let it happen again, but as we come to find out, this bloke is a serial cheater. He's cheated on like every partner that he's had publicly that we know of. We'll talk more about that later, but this is not the first time that he's been accused or even outed as a cheater, and that's putting it lightly, truly. So it's like, do you feel this deep remorse every time you do it, or are you just saying what you think your audience wants you to hear? But that can't be right, because apparently you don't give a shit about public perception. But you not giving a shit about public perception was proven wrong when you called Haley sharp for 5 minutes and begged her to take her videos down. So what exactly else were you lying about in this video? In my opinion, this stream was a very poorly made impulse decision where he tries to convince his audience that he is a good individual and that he's working on himself and that he feels really, really bad. I'll be honest with you, I just don't think that this is how it seems at all. But I'm no detective for figuring that out. Like, it'll become very obvious very soon when we look at the phone call.
That's really all I can do. I'm not really sure what the game plan is content-wise. I don't know. I'm going to be back to the stream grind, but clearly I need to take some time off the internet, right? Like, I need to assess myself and my problems. But yeah, I mean, I guess that'll be it.
I don't see why he couldn't just go back to streaming and making content as usual. I think this would be a very different sort of situation if it was like a Try Guys kind of thing, because he was someone who got cancelled for cheating on his wife as well. Not only that, but with an employee of the company. I think his name was Ned. I can't remember exactly, but I know he was one of the Try Guys. But that's different, because his whole thing, his whole brand, every joke he made was how much he loves his wife, essentially. So with him, cheating on your wife is genuinely a career-ending move, because your whole personality was how much you loved your wife. This guy streams video games, from what I can tell. He streams video games and he makes Omegle YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like, he's a very standard sort of YouTuber. If he got outed for something else, you know, something a bit more heinous, I'm sure we're all thinking of some things that are a lot worse than cheating that a lot of YouTubers have been outed for, then I think you'd have a lot more reason to be scared about where your career is going. But even then, there are so many YouTubers who have done things way worse than this and still have massively successful careers. All in all, though, this response is not the worst worst thing in the world, and if this is all it was, if this was where the story ended, there wouldn't be anything to talk about, right? It would be fine, his career would be fine, maybe a little bit of a blip, but in about a year or so, no one would even remember this happened. I'm sure there are a certain subgroup of people who would not watch his content anymore because they don't want to support someone who is willing to cheat on a partner of theirs, and that is absolutely fine, right? If you think that, that's your prerogative, and I respect that, right? If you don't want to watch someone who does that shit, that's fine. I get it, right? I really do understand it, because it's a fucking horrible thing to do to somebody. But I think it's pretty safe to say that, widely speaking, the majority of people, and definitely the majority of his audience, would be fine with it. Or maybe not fine with it, but they'd be willing to look past it because they enjoy the content and they enjoy him and they find him to be funny. And that's fine. I don't think that he deserves to have his career ended because of this. I just think that he's an absolutely terrible boyfriend. He would be a fool to get into another relationship, and you would be a fool to get into a relationship with him. That's not me blaming Haley Sharp, by the way, because the extent of his serial cheating habits were not clear until right now. So from now, you'd be a fool to get into a relationship with him soon. Anyway, guys, it's time for the moment that we've all been waiting for. HansumFella begs strongest woman in the world to take down the video exposing him for cheating. Emotional. Now, I have some opinions about this phone call becoming public anyway, but I will say the caption's funny. I think the strongest woman in the world thing is genuinely a pretty funny bit. I'll give her that. And I do think she has the right to go public about Tyler cheating on her and everything of that sort. But this potentially could be a step too far in my opinion, but we'll talk more about that later. Let me actually watch the video first. Because, oh man, is this is this a real bloody doozy? It's pretty embarrassing to say the least.
It will be like a huge thing that I'm gonna have, like, my career, my job, like, I don't have a job now, like, I'm gonna get pushed off of the internet, and, like, it'll just be this whole thing, and it's gonna snowball, and, like, last time it just became, you know, like, now...
The last time you cheated?
I explained that situation.
Is there an explanation for this situation?
Now, that situation will be talked about in this video right after this one, so don't you worry your little bottoms about that one. But one thing that I do need to state here is that it's very obvious right off the bat that HansumFella does not feel the deep remorse that he is claiming to have felt in his response video. That was all said purely because he knows that's what his audience wants to hear from him. He's gone through cheating scandals before. He's a fucking pro at handling them. He just didn't expect this to go public, and that was his fatal error, I guess. Now, the reason I say he doesn't actually feel any remorse because of this situation is that the first thing he's talking about with all this emotion in his voice isn't, you know what, I'm really sorry for cheating, Haley, and I understand that I put you through a lot and it was fucking horrible of me to do. I know it was only a month-long relationship, but that doesn't fucking excuse it at all. It was horrible of me, and I'm genuinely apologetic, and I hope I can make this right someday, or whatever. It was nothing like that. The first thing he talks about, the thing that he is concerned about, is not the feelings of the person that he has cheated on, but it's his career. It's how this affects him. How does it negatively affect his finances, his mental state, his emotional well-being? There is no semblance of care for the person that he has just cheated on, and that is pretty fucking scummy. Like, that goes to show a level of two-facedness and fakeness that I don't really appreciate, to be honest with you. And as much as I'm criticizing him for the way that he's handling this phone call, I understand that I said I would also try to, you know, handle it and figure it out with the person that I cheated on if I were to be in a situation like this, which I never will be. Well, who knows how this YouTube thing will infect my mind in a couple years or so, but hopefully I'm never in a situation like this. But I think the option of calling Haley and figuring out with her is, in essence, a good idea. And if this phone call was made public the way that it has been made public, but instead of this, Tyler was saying all the right things, the things that he should be saying, the things that you would hope or expect somebody who is genuinely a good person who fucked up, made a mistake, to say to someone that they cheated on with, like, you know, I'm sorry, I feel bad, blah, 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 whatever shit you might expect them to say, if that's what was made public, it would have gone very well for him, in my opinion. People would have seen it as somebody who is, in essence, a good individual, a good person with a good heart, who just made a lot of mistakes and has a lot of problems, like everyone has problems. Not only would people have seen it that way, but if he had acted that way, he would have actually been that person, because he didn't know that the phone call was being recorded. If he was acting in such a manner, behind everyone's back, doing the right thing when no one was watching, it could have been great for him. But this is just classic scumbag influencer shit. Saying one thing on camera and then acting like a complete dickhead off camera. And the worst part is, he probably doesn't even realize how much of a knob he's being on this phone call. He probably thinks, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Haley's being an arsehole by not doing this for me and keeping it all public. It's like, mate, you've not shown any remorse at all to her privately. You've only done it in front of your audience. So you're not exactly giving her a reason to feel bad or want to take the videos down.
Now,
The last time you cheated?
That I explained that situation.
Is there an explanation for this situation?
The explanation is that I was not faithful and I did wrong. That's the explanation for I mean, there's no explaining away this one. This one was a true act of being unfaithful, and you didn't deserve me to do that. I'm sorry. But please, it's already out there now, and it's gonna get.
It's cringe. It looks really bad. Like, this is fucking embarrassing, genuinely. Like, you could tell the pain in his voice, how much he really doesn't want to apologize. He doesn't even really apologize, but that is the closest thing we get in this video of him apologizing to her for actually cheating on her. And this is him when he believes that his career is on the line. Who knows how he acts when he's just, you know, a regular person in a regular relationship with nothing on the line. If he didn't believe that his potential financial situation could be changed by this controversy, he probably wouldn't have even bothered talking to her or trying to sort it out at all. But the fact that he just so briefly goes, yeah, look, like a child as well, like just sort of turning away. If he was in the room, you know he wouldn't make eye contact. He would go like, yeah, look, like, I'm sorry or whatever, but I shouldn't have done that. But the videos are out there. Can you please?
But please, it's already out there now, and it's gonna get like bigger and bigger. Like, I'm begging you to just take the tweets and the TikTok, like, just clean break. You can, you know. Please.
I'm just struggling to have sympathy right now because you did text a girl while I was at your house for your birthday. So it just kind of, to me, I just don't care, to be honest. That's just a little ridiculous. And if I'm getting cheated on, I'm gonna talk about it. It's just a little insane. You know,
please take the video down. It's gonna ruin me. I'm begging you. I know you have no sympathy for this, and I know that's awful. I know. I completely know. I'm begging you. Please take it down, because this is gonna get huge, and it's gonna be irrecoverable.
The irony of this all is that the only reason this situation could potentially be irrecoverable, but knowing the internet, it's not even irrecoverable now, but the only reason it's as bad as it is getting, or will get, is because you made this fucking phone call and acted like such a doofus. I've never used the word doofus in my life, but it's such an accurate representation of this guy. That word's brilliant to describe Tyler. Let's just be honest here. It don't matter if you're a fan of him or hate him or whatever. We can all agree that this is just pathetic. And with all that being said, I don't necessarily think it was the right thing for Haley to publicize a phone call that he didn't know was being recorded. Like, he didn't give his consent for this to be recorded. He definitely did not know it was being recorded. He would have acted very differently if he did, I'm sure. But Haley obviously does know that it's being recorded. I don't know if I'm too opposed to it being released. Like, it's not like a big thing like, oh, I can't believe you released this video. Once again, it's something that I personally wouldn't have done because I think that it is just a little bit sleazy. Like, it just wouldn't sit right with me, even if I was cheated on and they were an influencer and had a career or whatever. God, I would just feel awful putting something like this out there. However, I understand it and I do not hold it against her, because she's probably thinking, this fucking bloke is calling me, begging me to take the video down, showing no remorse, acting completely differently from the way that he was acting on stream. People think that he's remorseful or whatever, people think he's changing, but he's calling me and not apologizing at all and basically telling me to fuck off and forget this ever happened. So I can totally understand the series of mental decisions that come to the conclusion of, I do not want people to support him and think that he is something that he is not when he has wronged me this much. I get it. It's a classic case of, I understand it, I just don't agree with it. And I hope that's something that you can respect if you disagree with me, right? Because if you think that this was the right thing to do or the justified thing to do, that's totally fine. Like, I don't think you're an immoral person, or I wouldn't think any less of you for thinking that. I wouldn't think any less of anybody for thinking that this is a fine thing to do, because I do get it. And hey, maybe if I was in this situation, I'd do the same thing. I'm just speaking strictly in terms of what I think I would do, which you never really know.
Please, I'm begging you. I am willing to do anything. Like, you're not asking for money, obviously. I don't want to bribe you.
So you want to bribe me into taking a video down when you cheated on me when I was at your house for your birthday at 1:45 a.m.
I'm being desperate right now, but I am.
I'm hearing that.
I'm begging you, please. I'm begging you. I'm willing to do anything. This is going to be like irrecoverable. It's going to do irreparable damage, and I was awful, and that was an awful thing to do, and
it's just a little crazy that you cheated on me and your first response is to beg for me to take a video down instead of feeling bad for what you did and fessing up to it. So for that, I have no sympathy for anything that happens to you because I was literally nothing but good to you.
Yeah, bang on. That's exactly what I've been saying. That's exactly what I've been thinking. And she hit the fucking nail on the head there. It's a very obvious nail to hit as well. Like, you can't fucking miss it. It's the biggest nail ever with the tiniest hammer ever. You could chuck a hammer 100 meters and probably still hit the nail. That's how fucking big and obvious it is. And the fact that you haven't apologized to her yet unprompted, now it won't be the same. Now that she's told you that the reason she has a problem with you is because you've shown no remorse, if you show remorse now, it's too late. You know, we've already seen your true colors. We know how you act when not prompted to do the right thing. And now, if you apologized, if you show remorse privately, it just won't hit the same because you've been told that that's the reason that there's no sympathy here. And I get it. Like, I would not have sympathy for this person if they cheated on me like this and didn't show any fucking remorse for it. Even if it was only a month and a half. Because to text someone, to cheat on someone whilst they are in your house on a birthday at 1:45 a.m. whilst they're fucking next to you, it's like, man, you need to get a grip, lad. And just watching the way he's begging and squirming and fucking... A lot of people have taken satisfaction in this. I don't personally feel that way. I can definitely see why people would feel that way because it's almost cathartic, especially if you've been cheated on yourself. Watching something like this must be really almost validating in a way. But me personally, I just feel like dirty. It just feels weird to see an adult man, a fully grown man, acting this pathetic, this embarrassingly online, begging for something. Oh man, it just really rubs me the wrong way. This is quite possibly the least manly thing that I've seen all year, which if you've been following this channel, is really saying something.
Honestly, it's something that I should have seen coming from the way that your internet persona is and the way that this has happened before. So the fact that you call because you're worried about your reputation and not worried about the fact that this is really weird, something I never would have thought would happen to someone like me. Especially with a random girl who DM'd you on Instagram, it's crazy. Crazy.
You're right.
I know.
You're right.
I know.
If the next words out of this man's mouth aren't, I'm sorry, I'm going to fucking break something.
I am begging you.
Oh my god, this fucking guy, man. You need everything. You need a therapist, you need a PR manager, you need a chef at this point. Fuck it, why not? You need all the help you can get because you are mentally disturbed. Not just to an extent of you cannot morally decide to be a good individual here. You're not even capable of being a good person and saying what you should be saying for moral reasons, first of all. But secondly, you're not even clever enough to say sorry because you know, even if you're faking it, that it would be the best move here, visually, business-wise, financially. If you want to save your fucking career, if you think your career is on the line here, saying sorry is the best thing to do. It's very obvious that Haley does not give a fuck. She is not sympathetic at all. You've begged enough. Begging more is not going to change fucking anything. Be a man and apologize, for fuck's sake. I didn't expect to get this heated over this video because when I sort of looked at the brief, looked at all the notes I made, my prediction, my hypothesis, shall we say, was these are two people who have handled this very childishly. He's obviously more in the wrong than she is, but she could have handled it a bit better as well. But now actually watching it, as much as I personally wouldn't have made a phone call like this public, it's like, fuck, man. The way that he's acting is, it's just so pathetic. It's so pathetic.
I am so remorseful, but I also...
I'm so remorseful, but the first thing I have to say is I want it down because I care about my reputation and not about how you feel about this. No, I hear that. I hear that. I hear it and I understand.
I absolutely care about how you feel. I do. And that was...
So if you cared about how I felt, why would you be DMing a random person while I was at your house for your birthday? And you know what? And some of the messages were deleted, so the fact that there's probably more that went on while I was there hanging out with you is crazy.
You're right, that is crazy, and that's horrible. and that is a horrible thing for me to do. I do care about you, and I have been having this guilt eat away at me. I just now was hanging out with Ray, and I saw that video, and that was my immediate gut response. I just went, please, Haley, please. I'm begging you.
I don't owe you anything.
No, of course not. Of course not. Of course you don't owe me anything. I'm just asking from person to person, and another, you know how it is, and I know you have no, I'm not even deserving of you removing this. I'm begging you, please, because I am not going to be able to continue to do what I do at all. I won't be able to. Please. I took such a financial hit on that video from like a year and a half ago that's still even affecting me now.
See, and this is the thing. It's always, like, every conversation with you, it is all about you.
I'm curious if the financial hit that he's talking about from the situation a year and a half ago, which we'll talk about very soon, came from the public perception of him changing, or his content changing and the way that he recorded his videos changing, possibly for the worse, because he's now paranoid about what he can say and what jokes he can make. Like, either his content became worse, or people genuinely turned against him. I don't know, but either way, I find it pretty difficult to believe that that alone caused a significant financial detriment to him. Especially because, looking back on that controversy, it seems as though it was swept under the rug, cleared up between both of them, and handled pretty well, I think. Certainly a lot better than how this one's being handled, that's for sure. Okay, so before we move on to the previous accusation of cheating, because it is important in this storyline, it's important to get a read on what exactly this person has been doing, and how authentic they are actually being. Because the way that people will see this last case of cheating will definitely change now that this one has come out. But before that, we'll have a look at streamer Joe Bartolozzi's response to this whole thing, because this is somebody that HansumFella collabed with a lot, like it was almost a partner of his. Partner is overdoing it, but they collaborated frequently. They're sort of associated with each other. It's the sort of thing where when this whole thing went down, his chat was basically flooded with, oh my god, your mate fucking HansumFella got done. What do you think of it? So we'll hear his response, and then we'll move on to the cheating allegations from a couple years back.
Shit, what happened with him? I didn't even know he had a girlfriend. He was dating this girl on TikTok named Haley for like a month or two, and he ended up like cheating on her or something, and now it's becoming a whole thing. She's rightfully mad. People want to hear my take about it. She's rightfully mad. She's rightfully, able to post that. I think her posting their private phone call between one another is over the top to a degree, just because that's, he didn't know that he was being recorded. Regardless, she's still rightfully mad because, that's fucked that she got cheated on. Do I think Hansum's a bad guy? No. Right? Do I think that he made a fucking mistake and was a bad boyfriend? Yes. Right? Like it's kind of hard for me to share my opinion because I'm not, right, a woman in that relationship that feels that way.
So far, I think this is a pretty reasonable take from this fella here. I don't massively disagree with anything he said. I think at the very most, it would be appropriate to say that Tyler, Ian, HansumFella, whatever the fuck you want to call him, is selfish. I don't think it's fair to judge or come to a conclusion about the entire quality of his entire character based purely on this situation or as his habits as a cheater, but it is definitely fair to call him a selfish individual, one that I probably wouldn't want to be friends with, and one that a lot of you probably wouldn't want to be friends with either, because that level of selfishness can get really fucking tiresome. This does not mean that he's the fucking scum of the earth or a horrible person, but at the same time, it's pretty difficult to call him a good or morally virtuous or great person, you know what I mean? Now, I understand that judging the quality of someone's person, like, oh, they are 50% a good person, 60%, maybe like 64 to 0.72% is mental illness. That is not a habit that we should be getting into right here. So we'll focus on the facts. And the facts are that based on everything we've seen, Tyler is a fucking dogshit boyfriend and a very selfish individual. Someone who needs a lot of work done on themselves, someone who needs a lot of therapy, and someone who definitely needs a PR manager. Now, in terms of the whole recording the phone call thing, that's an opinion that I kind of shared with this bloke. I was like, I personally wouldn't have released it. I think recording it is fine, by the way. Like, recording the phone call so you can look back on it later is totally fine. It's the publishing it that I have a bit more of a problem with. Like, if you really wanted to go public with it, which, based on the way that he treated you on that phone call, I wouldn't blame you for going public with it, like, at all. But when I say go public with it, I mean detail the events of the phone call, tell people how it went down, and then maybe based on the events that precede, like if he comes out and lies about the events of the phone call, or basically tells people that you're lying in your video, video detailing the phone call. I think it'd be a lot more appropriate at that point to release the phone call. I was just about to say that he probably would have ignored a TikTok of you talking about the phone call, but this guy clearly does not know when to ignore and when to not ignore. Like, he has no idea what he's doing here. He's very immature based on everything that we're seeing. Both Haley and Tyler are both very unpredictable, and it's made the whole situation extremely messy. I came into this recording with the mindset of recording the call and publishing it was a bad move, but the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh man, I really do get it.
Like, I don't think HansumFella is a bad dude. Do I think he's a bad boyfriend? In that situation, yes, right? But that's my take.
Not just in that situation, you're giving him too much credit there. He's a bad boyfriend. He's a dogshit boyfriend. He's a horrible boyfriend. One that he'd be a fool to get into a relationship and you'd be a fool to get with him, like I said earlier. He's not a good boyfriend. It's not just that situation. He is a habitual bad boyfriend. But anyway, we'll move on to the previous allegation of cheating, because this was also viral, but not as big as this one, obviously, but it was pretty fucking big. It just didn't go on for as long and will have nowhere near of an effect that this one will. Here's the video of the initial allegation.
Found out that my boyfriend of 2 years has been making fake accounts to talk to other women and other creators and flirt with them and cheat on me. Yeah, I found the Snapchat last night. I just want you to know, yes, this was my boyfriend of 2 years, and that relationship has now come to an end since I found out. So if you were a woman or a creator that HansumFella, has reached out to, please come forward and let me know, because I would really like to know, because he won't give me the closure that I need. So thank you. Here's proof if you need it. And you can see all our other pictures at the bottom. Please let me know.
So, this is somebody else who HansumFella allegedly was cheating on. Now, he claims in a video that we'll watch in a couple seconds that this was an on and off relationship, so no technical cheating was happening or whatever. But either which way, this woman on this TikTok is claiming that he was not giving her the closure that she wanted, which is scummy, because if you are someone who is allegedly cheating on someone, even if it was on and off, the lines are blurry, and it's very reasonable how someone can come to the conclusion that they have been cheated on, you should definitely do them the due diligence of giving them closure and talking to them about how they feel, and maybe making sure everything's good, tying up any loose ends, and what have you, right? You know what I mean here. And the fact that he hasn't done that further goes to show just how selfish he is, because as we can see from now, it's very obvious that he does not actually feel real remorse for the people that he cheats on, right? It's very much just I only care about this if it directly affects my business, my channel, how I'm seen by people, my reputation, right? And that's why he only decided to give this girl the closure that she wanted after this video was out and after it started going viral, because only then would it start to affect him financially and reputation-wise. And that is very, very easy and clear to see in hindsight, but maybe not so much at the time. Anyway, let's have a look at his response, what he said at the time that this went down.
There is this account, an anonymous account on TikTok that uploaded a, screen recording of a TikTok my ex-girlfriend posted in July of 2023. So I want to clarify, this is not like a recent thing. This was last year, more than a year ago. So July of 2023 was when this video was posted.
Okay, yeah, that is something important that I forgot to mention. The initial video by this woman was posted in July 2023, and then it was deleted 15 minutes afterwards because supposedly HansumFella went out, reached out to them, asked them to delete it, and they actually did because they're not Haley shy. They clearly just handled this situation in a very different way, or maybe he genuinely gave a good explanation. Who knows? I wasn't there. I haven't seen any of the messages, so there would be no evidence in any assumption that I am about to make. But we can make educated assumptions, I think very educated assumptions, based on what I'm about to show you. But yeah, this whole thing started because someone screen recorded this initial TikTok that was up for about 15 minutes and reposted it a couple months later, starting this whole drama again, and on a way bigger scale than it was originally.
This is like an old thing. I've seen some stuff saying it's recent. So that's the first thing. The second thing, she deleted that video after 15 minutes for good reason, because we were on and off a lot in that relationship, and there was kind of some miscommunication about where we were at in the relationship during that time period. So it was deleted for a reason. There are some things being thrown around online, like I was not making secret accounts or something. That was a creator account. And again, my point is, this was settled between us a long time ago. This was a very long time ago. So, settled between us long time ago. and we're just trying to, I don't know, move forward. She doesn't want the video posted. I don't want the video posted. She's like DM'd that account a million times, and they refuse. They just care about like sending hate my way.
Now, obviously, this can be looked at very differently now than a couple months ago when the whole Haley Sharp thing hadn't happened yet. And we'll get onto that later, don't you worry. We'll talk about how it looks now. But to put myself in the perspective of myself again 3 months ago, who was just watching this situation with no knowledge of how Tyler is acting in relationships now, how he's still a habitual cheater, I think it would be reasonable to say that they sorted it out between themselves. It's no one's business. It's fine, whatever. No crime was committed. Let's just move on with our lives. There's more pressing issues at hand here. And whilst we're on that, let's look at the initial TikToker, the one who made the initial allegation. Let's look at what she had to say about this whole thing once the screen recording was reposted a couple months later.
Hey guys, I'm here to address something super quick. An account has reposted an old video of me talking about an old relationship I had with someone. Cool. I don't know why it was reposted. I didn't want it reposted. I even took it down after 15 minutes after I even posted it the first time because I no longer wanted it up. I don't even know why it was screen recorded. But I do take accountability for even posting that, and I completely regret my decision in doing so. But the reason I say I don't know why it was reposted is because of how old it is. I was young. I was acting out of emotion. Me and that person laugh about that video to this day. And honestly, no one even knows what happened in that video or after that video or between us because it's a personal matter. Me and the person that I'm talking about in that video are grown now. We have moved past it. I was clearly young in that video. You can hear it in my voice. You can see it in my face. We just are trying to let everything go. Like, we literally hate that it was reposted for both of us. The person that I made that video about shouldn't receive any hate or anything. That was a video of me reacting out of emotion, and it was posted and it was deleted for good reason. And people think that they are helping me and defending me, but you're really not, because I look really ugly in that video. I am an ugly crier. You're not helping. But yeah, we move forward, and y'all will actually really never know what happened between us because I will only give the answer no. If you ask me what happened, I'm just gonna say no. If you ask me if it's true, I'm just gonna say no. No one will ever really know what happened because it's between us.
Everything she's denying here, if it's the truth, it's the truth. I certainly hope it's the truth for her own mental health's sake. Because if the guy really did cheat on her, this whole situation's fucking insane. I mean, either which way, it's none of our business. Maybe she's just saying this because she wants to stay out of it. She does not want this to be a part of her life anymore, even if he did do wrong by her, which is totally fine and understandable as well. And if that's the case, I really do feel bad that this became as public as it did. Whoever posted it was definitely not helping her by posting it, by the way, because she is very vocal about how much she does not want it up. So if your claim is that you're posting this because you want the truth to be heard and that you stand for victims of cheating, I guess, you're chatting shit. Like, that's a load of shit. It very easily could have been a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. I am not denying that that is absolutely a possibility. However, based on what we've seen now, based on how he acted when he called Haley Sharp in that one video that was leaked, I highly doubt that this is a situation where he has done nothing wrong. I think he cheated on her. And as much as you might say that that is unfounded, unfair, or whatever, well, the girl released a TikTok recently when this whole Haley Sharp thing went down, and I'll play it for you.
You know, I thought about texting my ex today, but then I realized that would make me a weird, desperate loser, so I decided not to. Do with that information what you will.
Do with that information what you will, indeed. And now look, I am not dismissing as well the possibility that this is a pure coincidence, but man, would it be a hell of a coincidence. And I also think that based on the way that Tyler was willing to bribe Haley Sharp, by the way, I mean, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying that it's possible, right? It's possible. You guys can make your own conclusions. And here's the thing that sucks for Tyler if he is innocent. The fact that he handled this situation in the way that he did will inevitably lead people, including me, to believe that this situation is not everything that it seems to be. Because Haley has money, right? She's an influencer. She's fine with or without Tyler's donation. I'm not too sure about this lassie's financial situation, but if she is in one that is not as fortunate as the two people that we are currently talking about in this current drama, then yeah, I would not blame her for taking such a bribe, or maybe just succumbing to him begging like she did Haley, because maybe she's just a bit more of a sympathetic or empathetic individual, and it doesn't take as much for her to take the videos down. Like, maybe she fell for the manipulation or just felt bad, genuinely. There's so many unknown factors here, and I would feel uncomfortable saying anything definitive or coming up with anything confidently, asserting anything, because at the end of the day, it's all just an opinion. There's no facts behind it. There's no real rock-hard evidence. But all I can say is that this past situation looks a lot more fishy and a lot less innocent on Tyler's side now that we know the type of man that he truly is in his relationships. And that's that, really. I don't see how anybody could disagree with me. But if you do, be sure to leave it in the comments, because I'm very much open to the conversation. However, if you do think that I was being an ignorant prick this whole video and you disagree with everything I was saying, leave a dislike and call me a prick in the comments, because fuck it, why not? I'm open to that as well. Appreciate yous all. Hopefully yous enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.